Okay, welcome everybody this morning to our council meeting. Am I getting a little feedback there? Got it? Okay. So we'll call the meeting to order. Welcome everybody that's out in technical land and our people that are in the audience this morning. Thank you for coming. If you can, please rise, and we're going to take a moment of reflection before we start. Is there, I'm going to ask Ashley before we go any further, give us an update on anybody that's joining virtually. Thank you, Ash.
Thank you. And through you, Mayor Eccles, before I begin, at any point, if you get disconnected, you can dial 1-647-558-0588 and enter the ID for this meeting, which is 891-5626-2480. Both members of council and staff have been briefed on the various features of the Zoom meeting software and will be raising their hands physically to speak. For members of the public, if you require any technical assistance, please send a chat message to myself, Ashley Noble, Communications Coordinator, and I will attempt to assist you. It should be noted for members of the public that this meeting is taking place across two meeting platforms, both on Zoom as well as being live streamed on YouTube. Public participation, if any, must be done through Zoom and cannot be done through YouTube at this time.
Thank you, Ashley. Is there any pecuniary interest or general nature thereof from anyone on council this morning? Seeing none, so we'll say that, yes, Councillor Shea is away today. Conflict in his schedule. All right, that brings us down to number 4, delegations, and we do have a delegation this morning. Welcome, Mr. Aiken. I'm going to turn the floor over to you. If I could ask to, you could take the microphone and at the table. We're anxiously awaiting your presentation this morning. Gray button. You're going to have to push that. Yeah, we know. There you are. Now you're live. Now you're being recorded.
That's terrible. I'm here on behalf of the Lions Club. We have 3 proposals to present. Number 1, I don't know if anybody in here has had the problem. I know I haven't, but I've been, the problem is in ladies' washrooms with our older ladies. One of the people that came to me has actually had this happen. She couldn't get up. She grabbed the toilet paper holder, and it wasn't in Durham, by the way, but ripped it off trying to get up. So my proposal is to take and add a handicap bar each one of the stalls in the off the main hall in the 2 washrooms. I think there's 7 or something like that, and apply these bars on an angle of 45 degrees so a person can grip it and help themselves up. I just want to point out there's one problem with this. If we put these on, I believe you would have to go to handicap accessible committee someplace. And that opens up a can of worms on your side. We don't want to add any extra expenses to the town, but I just want to put that out there as a warning. If you agreed to go with it. Our second proposal is in the kitchen area of the community hall in Durham. I don't know if anybody's ever done a catering there or been part of a group that's catered there. You just wash dishes. Anyway, it's a two-sided problem. One, the top is going downhill quickly. The seams are starting to pull a bit, but from our side of it, if you're catering there, to walk around that top, but I think it's 5 feet by 18 feet. And you're carrying something hot, it's a long ways to go. Well, our proposal is take a section about 30 inches wide, cut it to the center. One top would be 60 inches by 5 feet. We put a 30-inch gap there. And then the other top, we take and move it down, not 30 inches because we're going to do something at the other end. Basically, move that down to 30 inches, relocate the one section of countertops of shelving to the other end so you don't lose any cabinet space, and cut down the space for the garbage pails. Right now, the garbage pails are, I think they're 24 inches round. We can cut that down to about 18 inches, put a square one in. So what we're going to be out is about 6 inches for the cut down the walking space on the south end of it, which is the, and we'd also put new, well, we want to put a ceramic top on, but to do that, you have to put an under the top sink in. Now, we'd like to, if possible, we'd like to increase the size of these sinks so that you can put a roasting pan in at least at half the size to wash it. Right now, you put a roasting pan in and it's sitting like this, and we all know that problem from home. On that end of it, the ceramic top would be 2 pieces. The second piece would be 12 by 50 inches long. The plumbing is okay. The electrical, we have one problem with. Right now, the electrical comes in from the north end. And what we'd have to do is take and drop a power bar down at the south end of it, so we'd have access to that plug at the end. Now, it'll look bad, but it works well. Okay, that's proposal number 2. Number 3 is the walking trail. What we want to do now is finish off the walking trail, the whole 6 kilometers. We want to add, well, we want to finish the signs. If it's gates we'd put in gates at all street crossways. There is a second alternative to the gates, and that's adding staggered posts in, so that you have to weave your way around with your snowmobile or your ATV. We want to make these trails accessible to everybody. Walkers, bikers, wheelchairs, everything. We also want to make the trails, well, basically from, say, the credit union parking lot all the way around that to open to everybody. Even some people that don't walk should be walking. I won't mention any names. But we want to put, finish off the signs, put street signs in, speed limit signs. And on the speed limit signs, we would ask the local police department to go in and do periodic checks for speeders. Speeding is the biggest problem with the trail. We have some people that abide by it, both with the ATV and the snowmobile club, but there's always 1 or 2 that give everybody a bad name. What we do is we want to make the trail 8 feet wide. Well, three sections of the trail has to be leveled off. Have new gravel applied and repacked. We want to cut back the trees. And I apologize, I haven't been out on the Park Street extension in too far. So I don't know the tree situations there, but we want to cut back the trees that people, if we have two snowmobiles passing, that they wouldn't get slapped in the head with a branch or something like that. We, on the ground level side, we'd want to trim back any tall grasses, anything like that. So that we can get her packed down and stays back. The advantage to putting a gravel-based trail in, first of all, it's packed, got a level surface. Right now, especially on the Park Street extension, there's some potholes there, 6-8 inches deep. And right now, everything is basically track. So you got where the ATV runs or where the snowmobile runs, and the rest it's wasted. So we want to take and level all that off and make it one base. Problems we have is with land agreements. Each one of the clubs have some, and there's bylaws on the others, but basically I'm here to ask permission. If I get your permission to proceed, then I got to sell it to the Lions Club. We have one or two people that are blocking it because we don't have permission from the landowners. We don't want to go in and spend money and then have these people speak up or cancel the agreement that we have in place. So that's the big thing, is the agreements. The signage is it's there. We put it on the all the signs, stop signs, speed signs, whatever. That's about it.
Sounds like the Lions Club is very ambitious.
Well, unfortunately, the person that brought that up is speaking to you now, and he doesn't want to do it. But
Oh, that's who you were meaning should be doing more walking. Was that the individual you were maybe indicating there, sir?
probably one of them.
Thanks very much, Jim. Want to have any questions or comments, or Joyce? Start one end or the other. We'll start Joyce.
Okay, thank you. And that's questions for Cody. Jim had mentioned about the accessibility need to investigate that, to install these bars in the washroom. Do you have any insight on that, or had you looked into it at all for the municipality? Thank you.
Through you, for all of these proposals brought forward by the Lions, because they are changing features within our facilities that members of the public would use. We would have to consult with the Grey County Joint Accessibility Advisory Committee. With that being said, if council did move forward with these proposals, that is not something I would task the Lions with. That is something I as staff would be able to champion through. And from cursory review of the applications, as well as digging into the accessibility legislation, I'm not anticipating any challenges with having the accessibility approval granted to us.
Councillor Hutchison, Doug?
Yeah, thanks, Jim, for bringing this forward. Applaud the Lions Club for all the projects they do and how they work for our community. Just had a couple of questions. One with the changes in the hall regarding the countertops. The first one, you mentioned that the Lions Club was willing to cover the costs, and Cody mentioned that maybe they don't need to cover the cost on that one. I'm just wondering, doesn't mention costing on the countertop and whatnot, but the idea was the Lions Club was going to pay for some of the changes there, Jim, or are you looking for cooperation with the community, with the West Grey?
We'd love cooperation, but we're willing to take on it ourselves.
Right. I guess our problem is our budget's already set for this year and I don't know what funds would be available for that, but I think it's a great idea. So it's just a matter of how we make it work. The other one has to do with the trails and I don't want to get too heavy into this one, but, as you know, over my 10 years so far in council, I've been, trying to get something done with trails and we've made some progress. But there's lots of work to do there. And one of my spiels was, it's about liability. The community uses our trails now, so why not make them as safe as possible without getting into some legal issues? So I applaud for you guys to take that on. I do think that, again, it's one of those things we're going to have to work with West Gray, the municipality and the town. Cody has more information, I'm sure, that he could share regarding landowner agreements, surveys from our snowmobile club that use the trail, and a few other things. Signs, we've looked at signs and whatnot. So I think he has a fair bit of knowledge on that. I have lots of stuff at home too that I can share, but the map being one of the ones in the package. But yeah, it's great. Love to see these guys do something and whatnot. We've had trouble trying to get it together and get moving forward on it. So if the Lions Club can carry the load and get something done, that would be great. Thank you.
Okay. Cody? Go ahead.
Thank you. Through you, if I may just clarify one point through Councillor Hutchinson, when I was referring to taking the cursory review of the plans, that was just moving it through Grey County Joint Accessibility Committee. I wasn't anticipating that the municipality would take on funding the countertop project. The countertop project. And if I may further, West Gray has been working with our municipal insurer, and we now have a newly approved landowner agreement template that we could enter into with existing landowners for the trail. However, as the trail system is pre-existing, we have been trying to enter in conversations with some of the existing landowners, and some of them are not willing to enter into agreement currently. So we're still progressing down that process. With that being said, council is still yet to provide direction to staff on motorized use on the trails. We did do a pilot over the winter with the Snowmobile Club. We did launch our second piece of the public engagement strategy to gauge public input on motorized use on the trails. However, we have since scaled that back slightly, just given the recent hospital announcements, but we will be getting ready to push out some further messaging on that shortly.
So you're probably looking for an agreement to work with municipality and further go ahead with this project.
With
Kind
the
of what you're-
trails? With the trails?
Trails, countertop,
Uh,
washroom, all three really.
Well, dealing with one at a time, I'd like to do the first two first. Because third one, the land use agreement. Where does that go? Does that come up to the Lions Club to do that, or is that going to be up to the town? Okay,
I would say it's probably going to be
yeah.
municipality. Yeah. That's where it's going to end up.
Now,
Cody?
If I may, just speaking to the landowner agreements, at the end of the day, once the project is done and completed, the trails would be transitioned back into municipal authority. We would have oversight over the trails. So any agreements that we would be entering into with landowners, the easiest way to do it would be for the municipality to enter in with the landowners from the start.
well, the next step, if any of these are approved, I have to go back to the Lions Club and sell it to them. The first two, from the feelings I got, was a no-brainer. The third one was all land issues. And what your one of your things that says in there is $5 million liability. That has been passed by the Lions Club. I don't know if it's in effect yet, but the executive have passed the $5 million upgrade. And that's a no-brainer for us. It's very little cost for us. Most of this work is going to be done by donated. We have access to, say, for the trails, we have access to bulldozers. The biggest cost for us would be for basically the gravel, and we're working on that till other things came up.
So maybe I should suggest, I think through the conversation, Jamie may have come up with something that we could start moving forward onto this. You got anything there, Jamie?
Thank you. And through your miracles, I do have a motion crafted based on a conversation that's been had so far today. One of the things that I will note prior to reading this out for council is for proposal 3, based on the feedback and the comments by both Mr. Aitken and Mr. Hewlett, I'm wondering if it might be most appropriate for that proposal to come forward in a staff report through community services when we get that fulsome trail feedback, so that we can take that forward at that time and not delay the first 2 proposals. So the motion that I have crafted is that in consideration of the presentation, council directs staff to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the West Grey Durham Lions to upgrade the banquet hall, ladies washroom, and kitchen facilities as outlined in proposals 1 and 2, with the West Grey Durham Lions being responsible for the costs associated with the upgrades.
Sound kind of what we're looking at here? And Deputy Mayor's already gonna move that motion. And Councillor Noon is going to second that motion. Okay, with the mover and a seconder, do we have any other questions or comments on that motion? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Okay. And you may have something else on the third one. That was just as far as the minutes go for direction.
It's through your miracles. I don't have anything formal on that. It was more so just informal. Mr. Hewlett is bringing forward a staff report at some point in the near future, and that would just be incorporated into that report when it comes forward.
Formulating a partnership, working agreement type of thing would be what we're kind of looking at as a proposal. Cody?
Thank you. And through you, if I may, I'm anticipating that report to come to council at some point in August. I'm currently in conversations with the West Grey Durham Trailblazers, as well as the ATV Club and the Lions, just with regards to trail use. And I think it would be best if a more fulsome report comes forward later in the summer, and then we can move forward from there if that works.
Yeah. Yeah, we could continue to work back and forth, see how that one goes, but I think we've got the first 2 projects. What did you say before about the trail? We should just walk before we run, so we'll just walk on these 2 little projects first before we run down the trail.
There are some of us that can't run anymore.
Yes, that has been noted. Yeah. Okay, anything else?
Okay. Thank you for
Anything
your
further,
time.
Jim?
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Consider thank you to the Lions Club for the continued community support, and send back from council. Thank you for all that the West Grey Durham Lions Club has done, along with a lot of other clubs, but you're here today to take those accolades back to the club, and we'll continue. I think you've got the support of council to continue to work in a collaborative fashion on community improvement. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
There's no reason to jump up and leave real quick. Oh, you've probably got a tea time, do you? Okay. Thanks, Jim. Okay. That brings us down to number 5, public meetings. Aware of any of those? Comment period. We don't have anyone in the audience and no one online, Ashley. All right. Unfinished business. Adoption of minutes. We have 4 sets of minutes there. 8.1 is the joint council minutes from the joint meeting on the municipal airport. 8.2 is the regular council minutes. 8.3, the public meeting minutes from May 21st and the special council meeting May 22nd. We want to move all of those together. We can. Jamie.
Through Mayor Eccles, certainly we can do that. I do believe there was one typo in item 8.1. The comments attributed to yourself note that there's been decreased funding to the Saugeen Municipal Airport over the years, and I believe that should have been increased. So what might be most appropriate is if we just move that one separately as amended, and then we can move the other 3 collectively as presented.
I need a motion to minutes as presented, and I read an article or answered a question in that, and I'm pretty sure I said that our municipal contributions have increased, and the word is decreased in there. Significant change. I'm not sure. So suggesting that they be moved as amended. Do I have anybody? Councillor Forrester, Scott, Councillor Townsend, Doug. Thank you. To move the 8.1 council, joint council, Saugeen Municipal Airport as amended. Any other questions or comments? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. The other 3 can be moved under one motion, 8.2, 8.3, and 8.4. Thank you, Doug. And Doug, Councillor Townsend, Councillor Hutchison. Move acceptance of the minutes. Any questions on those? All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Down then to committee and board reports. 9.1 library minutes, February 14th and March 13th. Saugeen Valley Conservation, March 21st, and Saugeen Municipal Airport, May 15th. Do we have a motion to receive those? Councillor Forrester and Deputy Mayor Hutchison. Those 4 sets of minutes for information. No questions on that motion? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Thank you. Correspondence. Is there any questions or comments, or need to pull any of these for further direction? Most of them are repeats or ones that we've seen and have. There's a couple in there that are slightly, but going through it, I would suggest that they're mostly there for information. One slight correction on the on number 14, there's a correspondence there from our MPP. I think it's our MPP. BUY, buyers. Somebody got just a little typo there, that's all. That joke was at your expense, Jamie. I'm sorry, sir. No problem with that one. Anybody want to move that the correspondence be accepted as presented? Councillor Noon, Deputy Mayor Hutchison. Thank you. None of those pulled. Call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried as well. Thank you. Staff reports. Director of Community and Development, CBO. Welcome this morning, Carl.
Good morning.
Your first one is 11.1.1, proposed tower antenna installation. Anything further than what's in the report there?
Nothing further. The council and the municipality is not an approval authority, but we are required to provide correspondence that the notifications were sent out and have any provide response or provide the information from any responses.
And the recommendation there is just that we've been notified as meeting their requirements, I guess is the best way to paraphrase it. Okay. So the recommendation is there to take that on this. Councillor Hutchison, Councillor Townsend will move. Any further questions or comments on that? Councillor Hutchison, Doug?
Yeah, so I found the letters from local citizens interesting, and they had some good questions about why another tower, given that there was one further down the road and there was one not too far out of Markdale where there's some towers or some, I think they used the water tower. So did they get a response to that? I didn't quite get a feel for an answer, and one part of it said, well, is it because it's one's Rogers and one's Bell and they each need their own, or so can you clarify that a little bit, Director?
Yes, for you. So I didn't get that much more detail on the answer when I asked the question. The main response was that, yeah, that Bell and Rogers in this case did not want their information on the same tower. There is other locations where those two companies do share towers, so I'm not sure why in this case, but yeah, there really wasn't a great answer, but that was the information that they provided.
Okay. Thank you, Scott. As Director Shipwreck said, you know, we're just part of notification and, yeah, receiving that we have been notified and on their application, any of those questions, complaints, whatnot. We have no regulatory authority or anything to this. It's just, yeah, they've met their requirement to inform us. Anything of that goes to NAV Canada. I think it is Government of Canada anyways. That's where that would end up. Carl?
NAV Canada would deal with the issue with there is a flight plan,
Flight.
but it's the Innovation, Science and Economic Development is Canada that is the regulatory authority.
Okay. Any further questions, comments? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. 1.2, 11. Carl. Next one is staffing.
Yeah, through your minutes. So again, this is just a fairly straightforward report here. Just we've Jordan Cook is one of our inspectors. He's met all the requirements and we've promoted him up to deputy chief building official. Our other current deputy chief building official is Mary Schofield. She works part-time, hopefully going back to her full part-time. She has been helping out a little bit more than requested, but hopefully she'll be going back, or she's requested to go back to 3 days a week, and therefore we would have Jordan on as her deputy chief building official 5 days a week.
Okay. Very good. So the requirements, and excellent. Planning for staffing for the building department. Do we have a mover and a seconder for that? Moved by Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Hutchison. To appoint Deputy Chief Building Official under the Building Code Act. Mr. Cook, any further questions or comments on this? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. And your final report, Carl? Down to the Welton Phase 3 and 4 subdivision agreement. Anything further on this one?
Nothing further. Again, this is very similar to the phase 1 and phase 2 subdivision agreement. It's just a continuation of Welton's subdivision. They're looking to move forward with to start construction on phase 3 and phase 4. The only difference in this agreement is we have added a 2-year sunset clause, which basically means that they have to start construction within 2 years, or the agreement would be null and void that way. If they choose not to move forward, then that would return their water and sewer allocation to the municipality.
Okay. Any other questions on this? Doug, Councillor Hutchison.
Yeah, just curious whether, are there any conditions regarding how far along they are in phase 1 and 2 before they move on in 3 and 4? Like, do they have to have one finished and that type of thing?
No, there's no conditions or requirements for them to meet a certain percentage of phase 1 or phase 2. I mean, phase 1 is finished. We're in the maintenance period for that through the municipality. Phase 2, there's no requirement for a certain percentage. For them, they would want to do as much in phase 2 as possible. Just cost wise, they're gonna, those lots are sitting there ready to develop, so they would develop those first before, likely most of them before moving forward.
At phase 1, we are now taking over the maintenance, like sidewalk and road and that type of thing so far.
We have not taken that over at this point, but we're in the maintenance period for I believe for the underground infrastructure. There is still some outstanding issues on some sidewalks and things like that we're waiting for the repairs to be completed before we would take them over. But the infrastructure, we're in the maintenance period for that.
Okay, Joyce, Councillor Noon.
Thank you. I've been known to be directionally impaired, but would that not be the northeast corner? Like for the phase 3 and 4?
Sorry, through you, phase 3 and 4 would be would be east of the current subdivision that's being is constructed, and a little bit to the north, not north of phase 1 and phase 2, but there's a small section at the bottom that would be north of that. It's hard to. Oh, I wrote northwest. Okay, my apologies. I didn't. Where is north? Oh, yes. My apologies. I didn't see that. Yeah, that should be northeast corner. I guess I'm directionally challenged.
I found that it's best to just say no comment. Okay, a little levity there. Yeah, northeast corner. Okay. Everybody knows that yet? No. So it is here. The recommendation is there that enter into that agreement. Mayor Clerk, thank you. Councillor Forster moves, Councillor Townsend seconds. Any further questions or comments on the recommendation? I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. And I think, if I could say, probably working with Mr. Welton and Sunville, it's been a pretty good working relationship between the municipality and Sunville. Good company to work with.
Yes, Sunvale and all the contractors that have been working in the subdivision have all been easy to work with. Yeah, been willing to do what we've asked for the most part, and yeah, have had no issues. So.
Excellent. Good. Okay. I think that's it. Then we're down to community services. Mr. Hewlett. Obviously, you got bumped here. We're sitting over there for a little bit this morning, and now you're not directionally challenged. You can go east and west, correct? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks, Carl. Cody, your first one is on the Elmwood Homecoming sponsorship.
Thank you. And through you, fairly straightforward report in front of council today. Staff have received a request from the Elmwood Homecoming Committee for sponsorship or support of the event. After review, staff are requesting authorization of council to move forward with a silver sponsorship level in the amount of $500, as that would be comparable to support of other homecomings in past years.
Well, it's there. What's yeah, quick questions.
Thank you, Mayor Eccles. Through you to Treasurer Mighton / where how you want. Well, I'll go treasurer today, Gary. How's this budgeted? Where do we pull that from? Thank you.
As indicated in Cody's report, the Economic Development Partnership Initiatives budget line item is the category that he's using for the sponsorship.
I just wanted to confirm that. Okay, so thank you. That's fine.
Okay. So the recommendation is there. Do we have a mover? Moved by Councillor Noon, second by Deputy Mayor Hutchison. Any further questions or comments on this? Certainly looking forward. They've been doing a fair bit of planning and getting ready at the community center for this. Okay. Got it moved and seconded. No other questions? All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Speaking of getting ready, your next report, EV charging station at the Elmwood Community Center. Cody.
Thank you, and through you. I guess it's an Elmwood heavy day for the community services lens. In front of council today is a report regarding the Elmwood Community Center EV charger. To provide some background on the history of this report, in 2022 and 2023, the municipality of Brockton received a grant for EV chargers to install EV chargers at a number of areas across the municipality. At the same time, West Gray also received a grant to install EV chargers. We had gone with the flow chargers at the time. We were investigating installing one at Elmwood, but because Brockton's funding scheme was slightly different than ours, we bowed out of that project and allowed Brockton to take the lead. The report in front of council today outlines that the Elmwood Community Center Board, which is an arm's length board of council that operates the Elmwood Community Center, has requested that because of some challenges with the charger, as council will see in the diagrams in the report, as the charger, when it is in use, the charging cords block the sidewalk. The request from the Elmwood Community Center Board is that both Brockton and West Gray councils jointly fund the moving of the charger in the amount of approximately $5,000, meaning $2,500 from each municipality to support the move, as it was an unanticipated capital costs, and both municipalities share in capital costs for that center.
That's Councillor Hutchison. Doug?
Yeah, I'm curious, Cody, who would have put this in the first place, and why would they not have thought putting cords across a sidewalk was not maybe a good idea? Like who and were they given the okay to do that? Like, it seems peculiar to me.
The lead on this project was the municipality of Brockton. The Elmwood Community Center Board was consulted at the time of the charger being installed, but as Brockton being issued the grant, they took sole lead on the installation of the charger.
Counselor Townsend. Doug.
Just another question for you, Cody. So if we agree and move the EV charger, which it needs to be done, is it in the right place? Are we going to move it out to the parking lot and then in 6 months later go, oh, it should be at the other end of the building? That has been known to happen. And as we've had EV chargers in our own municipality that are in the wrong place and have been moved. So if we're going to move it once and be done with it.
Thank you, and through you, I'm not aware of any chargers that the municipality has moved. But for this project, moving the charger into the parking lot would take one parking space, I'll say offline for lack of a better term, but it would fit the needs of the community center. Right now, if we were to look at moving the Elmwood EV charger to either end of the parking lot, it would substantially increase cost of the project. So in trying to be as economical as possible, this is the best solution at the time.
One more, I'll take Doug first. Yeah. Go ahead.
Just to
Secondary.
follow up, Cody, I was referencing the 1 and 8 and that moved from the Centennial Hall to the arena.
Yeah. Joyce, Counselor Net.
Thank you. I always thought the EV chargers were like set up for 2 stations. So wouldn't that take up 2 parking spaces or is that one just set up for just 1?
Thank you, and through you, it is a dual head charger, but moving the charger into the parking space would take that 1 parking space out of commission. So no vehicle, whether it be gasoline, EV, could park there. The 2 parking spaces directly adjacent would be EV parking spaces. I'm not sure if the municipality of Brockton has followed in similar suit to West Gray of just announcing the adjacent parking spaces as EV charging only. But for the purposes of this report, it would only take 1 parking lot space permanently offline.
Okay, further, Doug, Counselor Townsend.
Just one more question, Cody, and understanding it's Brockton and it'll be them that are probably driving the bus here. Just hopefully they're going to put in safety pylons by the EV charger so that it doesn't get whacked with a snowplow in the wintertime.
Thank you. Through you, yes, the scope of the project does include installing bollards, the large yellow poles that would stop a vehicle from running into the charger.
Any other questions? Joyce, please.
If we go along with this proposal, where would that money come from? Is it built into the Ellenwood funding or where's that money going to come from?
At this point, I believe they're asking for additional funding that we do not have budgeted for. They were doing budgeting for parking lot upgrades and some accessibility entrance at the basement, I believe. So unless they modify one of those projects, but that's not the request that came through. So they're looking for additional. So we will be over budget. We do not have it budgeted in our 2024 budget.
Any further comments or questions? I'd like a comment from the chair. We have a couple of bridge updates in West Gray. I think Mr. Aiken, a few problems or something with our bridges. Is there a chance we can ask Brockton that, that they could come and help us with our bridges? Seeing as Brockton put this in at the community center, and now that it's decided that it's wrong, now they're coming to West Gray to help fix their problem. And I will say it is a problem. Having an electric vehicle at the Elmwood Community Center, and I did use that facility once, and I went, this doesn't look like it's anywhere. Intact Insurance, I think, would question. Because when you pull the cable out, unlike ours, it's not a flow charger, it's a different type charger. The chargers are out here. The cable comes from up here. So it still might catch you, but it's going to be at eye level where the cable is. There, it truly is right along on the sidewalk. It's where the cable comes in. It's a tripping hazard. It just, at the time I went, ooh, come up with this. Now they want us to kick in 50% of the fix on it. Doug, Councillor Hutchison.
I have a creative solution. What if we float them a loan for $2,500, being and asking them to repay it from their homecoming funds?
Problem is, it's not a homecoming problem. It's a Brockton. Yeah. I thought you were going to say would float Brockton a $2,500 and they give us back to us next year at $3,000. We're not charging great interest on it or anything. Deputy Mayor Tom.
Thank you, Mayor Eccles, and based on the discussion here, I put a motion forward that we deny the request for this EV charging station relocation, because again, we stepped up to the plate to get it in there, did everything. We're not responsible for the placement of it, so I don't know why we should be having to support a relocation of it. So I would put a motion forward, and I see the clerk's hands up.
Jamie, step in here and help us out.
Thank you. And through Mayor Eccles, if council is not wanting to provide funds to Brockton for this relocation, a motion to receive the report would be the most appropriate way to move forward. There's no need to outright deny it in the motion. By just receiving it, we've taken action on this report, and there's nothing more for us to do.
Well, up, Mayor Eccles. With that, I'll put a motion forward to receive the report then, per the clerk's instructions.
Good. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Townsend. Thank you. Further, I want to comment that there's $20,000 in the parking lot upgrades. I think, Scott, is that what's? Yeah, and then there's the 5,000 at the door at the back, basically the entrance to the lower level. Which using the community center, you say the back door, but it's just the entrance level to the lower level. Those, have they been started yet or tendered out as of yet? Cody?
Thank you. And through you, both Councillor Forrester and myself will be attending the Elmwood Community Center board meeting this evening, where we will be receiving potential quotes for the costing for the parking lot, but we have not received those as of yet.
I think you know where I'm going with this. We've seen some, favorable tenders come in for some of the projects that we've had. Certainly Director Aiken would see that. Wondering whether there can, if those savings are there, could some of that funding be put over into this project? Is that a possibility? Cody?
cautioned, I will say anything is a possibility. However, right now, the direction from the board has been that the request be of both West Gray and Brockton councils to fund the project through our clerk. Would it be best to seek direction back to the board? I'm just not sure how we would move forward with that request.
Jamie?
To your miracles, I don't know that we need to make a request of the board per se. By us not approving that, I think it would be up to the board to find another solution to move forward, and that would be at the board's prerogative. We can't make them do something, so I would suggest that that's something that Mr. Hilo could bring up at the meeting this evening. If the board wants to pursue other options to fund the relocation of the charger, it would be up to them to find those.
Don't want to put all the pressure on Mr. Hewlett. Councillor Forster is going to be there too. He can express some opinions as well. Yeah. Okay, because that truly is, it's kind of a capital maintenance type cost, and there's $25,000 there that we're already putting in. It's not supporting the upkeep and development of the community center and on with their partners. Okay. All right. Any further comments or questions on the motion to receive the report? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Okay. I'm going to be unavailable, so I won't be at the meeting tonight. You guys have fun. We'll talk about that later, okay?
She knows to put gas in. That's good.
Uh-huh. Okay. Thanks, Cody. Director of Infrastructure and Public Works. Good morning, Mr. Aiken.
Good morning.
11.3.1, your report on Narmbie Bridge 55. Or understood as being the Hampton Bridge. What have you got for us on that? Any updates or?
Yeah, we have since received a repair detail. If council is interested in putting the bridge back into service, there are two main options: repair or replace. Our initial thoughts are the structure underneath the deck. It's just the deck that is damaged beyond repair, but the structure itself is fine. We're going to pull the deck off it prior to the 2024 Olson, which is due on the Normanby structures this year. And we anticipated confirming that the structure itself is salvageable. So if council wishes to put the bridge back into service of the two options, repair or replace, we think it could be repaired. We'd like to do it as a pilot project to train staff on deck replacement. So the information in front of you, there's essentially three options: do nothing, which essentially will still result in a capital cost at some point for demolition with the ongoing Olson reports. We estimate the repair cost to be in the neighborhood of $350 with the assistance of the county bridge crew to kind of guide us, or replacement is in the neighborhood of just shy of $800,000.
Questions or comments? Joyce?
I know this is a very difficult topic, but that bridge closure right now, is there really a big impact on the neighboring community as far as accessibility getting around? Or is it one of those bridges that we may have to deem as being a closed bridge? Get your thoughts on that.
With the closure of Bridge 51, there is some additional travel time for some of the residents. There is another bridge on that road just south of there that is still in fairly decent shape, but if something were to happen to it, we would be creating some difficulty. Is it a crisis right now? Do we have to do it in 2025? No.
Counselor Townsend, Doug?
Thank you. I would opt for the repair part. I believe the bridge is somewhat of a necessity out there. I know it is used as a connecting link through there for the snowmobile club and the ATVs and stuff like that to keep them off the main road. So I know the snowmobile club this winter had issues with that bridge being closed. So it for, you know, easy to say $350,000. It's another bridge that we can get back into service and help alleviate some other issues. As I say, if we keep having bridges keep going down, we're going to run out of bridges and we're going to have people landlocked, which isn't a good scenario either. So we should look at, because in bridge land, it's a reasonable cost. We should look at repair.
Okay, thank you. Joyce?
Thank you. With the repair being completed, would there still be a significant weight restriction from tonnage allowed to go over that bridge? I'm just thinking with the farm equipment and stuff today being much bigger, what impact that could have on the bridge.
Through you, your worship, it would be my expectation as part of the project prior to the structural engineer letting it go back into service that it be posted for weight restrictions. And then we would flip that into an enforcement issue.
Okay, Counselor Hutchison, Doug?
Yeah, I agree. I like the idea of in-house repair. I think with the number of bridges we have in our community, we're gonna have to do something to keep some of them going. And if we can repair them as cheaply as possible and get a few more years out of them, I think that's the route to go. Obviously, safety is a big concern, but for some of them, a lot of them are one-lane bridges. So like if we repair like for like and not get into a big cost of putting in a new bridge and what we also wondered about the prefab idea. I don't know how much investigation you've done on that in terms of if you could just bring in a prefab deck and just set it on top and what kind of costing that would be. Have you looked into that at all, Director?
Through you, your worship, the replacement option is a prefab option that essentially it would come in on tractor trailers and a crane would essentially put it into place on the existing abutments.
So instead of repairing through using our own guys, the prefab, but that prefab would be that much more expensive again. Is that what we're saying? That's the replacement. Okay, all right. So that's the 800,000 or whatever.
The replacement cost is the 788 number in your report. The repair as a pilot project with the internal forces is the 300,000 number in your report.
So then the repair would be using a wood deck. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Got it.
And if I can, so I'm clear as well too, the wood deck comes basically prefabbed. Is that what you were saying?
No, the pre-deck would be assembled on
Assembly
site.
on site?
Yes, by staff, and it would be a training session for our staff with the idea if other lightweight structure decks deteriorated, perhaps this is an option that we can do internally for other lightweight structures that we can kind of take on ourselves and extend the life expectancy of the structures.
Yep. Yeah.
So the other thing I wondered, so would there be asphalt put on top of it? Because is there some concerns with asphalt on top of the wood sort of thing? How does that work?
So through your worship, no, there would not be asphalt on top. That adds to the weight of the structure itself. This is a fairly flexible structure, and having a rigid topping on that would actually reduce the load carrying capacity because you've consumed some of the load to carry that load. Plus it does trap water between the whatever you have beneath the asphalt. What's proposed here is to laminate 2x6s on their side. And then on the top would be additional layer of 2x6s on the flat, which would act like essentially a sacrificial lamb that staff would be easy to inspect and replace as needed. When you pull off a board, you're probably pulling off several boards at a time, which would allow you a really good look at the laminated lumber underneath.
Okay. And this cost estimate was done by the engineering company?
The material cost was done by the engineering company, yes.
So we have a number of mills within West Gray that are producing lumber that we can probably get a cost advantage.
That is my hope.
Excellent. Yeah. Okay. So we're in here. What report and this is for information purposes. I think the director's kind of looking for a hint of which way to continue going forward as well, too. So, Deputy Mayor, Tom?
Thank you, Mayor Eccles. Well, obviously, I would certainly lean towards number 2, repair with in-house training. I think it's, I think there's a lot of value to that. So I'm not sure how that's going to work because the recommendation here says to receive the report. So.
None of this work will be done in the 2024 budget, just for clarification. So you will actually consider this. We will add it to our 2025 budget capital program. And if it survives during the budget process, when you're doing all your prioritizing, that's when the real decision on the bridge will be made, but we'll put it in there and as part of the first draft that you see for the 2025 budget.
And I knew that was how it was going to work. So, but the point is, I think I was trying to make is we look towards number 2, then basically the director could go forward with further costing and get a prepare for the 2025 budget presentation. This kind of where I was going with it. But I see the clerk is ready to go.
Thank you, Mayor Eccles, and through you to Deputy Mayor Hutchison. I think what you had said there was that in consideration of staff report IPW 2024-21 Bridge N055, Council direct staff to bring forward a capital request as part of the 2025 budget to repair Bridge N055.
Because that's exactly what he does. He mind reads.
So you, Mayor Eccles, the clerk, yes, that's exactly what I was going for. Thank you.
I think the deputy mayor's making that as the motion. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Noon. Thank you, Joyce. Any further questions? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. All right. The next one, good sir, is Jeff. The next one coming up would be on speed reduction, 11.3.2. Anything further on this one?
I think the report summarizes it fairly accurately. We had 2 structures that were recently involved in motor vehicle accident. There's been a report prepared and submitted to the respective insurance companies for repair and or reimbursement. In the meantime, though, this does require a speed reduction, which is the intent of the report, to 40 kilometers an hour.
So the speed reduction is because the bridges are damaged. Once the damage has been repaired and the maintenance is done on them, the speed limit then would go back up.
That is one potential. One of them has horrible vertical alignment, i.e. you go down a really steep embankment and then you climb up a really steep embankment. So we'll have to take a look at it, but the initial intent is probably intended to be temporary. And once the repair is done, we'll take a look at what the posted speed should actually be on replacement or repair, sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Any further questions? Anybody want to move the recommendation? Councillor Hutchison, question. I know you're not looking like moving your question.
Well, I was
Go
gonna say, I
ahead.
can move it, but then I have a question too, so whatever way you want to do it.
Okay, so you've moved it. Good.
Yeah.
Seconder? Councillor Forrester. Questions?
Right, so my question is, yeah, I agree, maybe there's some other roads that we should have at 40 kilometers an hour, but again, unless we sign it extensively and police it, it doesn't do a thing. So we really have to come up with ways of enforcing some of our speed restrictions, because as people complain and we live on one of the roads that 50 doesn't mean 50, it just means it's a sign that you drive by. So I think we really need to work on our enforcement and sign. I like the flashing, more lights you have flashing with the speed reduction or with the speed sign, I think the better. So maybe we need to get more of those out there. And I think Deputy Mayor had mentioned about some of our signs need to be back out, and I don't know if they are back out on our roads, but we have some speed reduction signs that we need to get out there. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else on this? Both accidents, was speed a contributing factor, or was there other driver errors that may have been more of a hindrance?
Driver error played a role in both, and one of them, I would speculate, and it's purely speculation, speed would have been a factor.
The speeding was a factor with the impairment of one of the drivers is maybe as well.
There, West Grey Police Services is investigating the driver himself as part of that incident. So speed is a factor, and alcohol may have been a factor too. Yes.
Yeah. Anyways, we have the motion in front of us. Any further questions? We get this fixed. Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That one's carried. Okay. 11.4 on staff reports. Interim CAO. Ms. Mike. Here.
Yes, so this policy was adopted originally back in 2010, and there's been some changes to the Occupational Health and Safety Act. So we're bringing forward a revised, a new policy outside of our personnel policy as a standalone workplace violence and harassment policy. Just to note, there is a couple of corrections. Section 5, the numbering should be 5.1 and 5.2 in the first two bullets. And section 7 and 8 are duplicated. 8 is a duplication of 7. So we have removed section 8 and renumbered the balance of the report or of the policy accordingly.
Okay. So it sounds of that we will be, the recommendation is to accept and approve that or that policy. I guess with those slight amendments, it would be as amended. Correct, Karen? Okay. If somebody, any questions on it? Move it. Thank you, Tom. All right. Mr. Hutchison, Deputy Mayor will move that. Councillor Townsend will second it. Any other questions or comments? I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. All right. Thank you, Carrie. Doing along quite well. 11.5.1. It's down to the legislative services. Clerk, your report, Jamie. Anything further on the Saugeen Municipal Airport?
Thank you, Mayor Eccles, and through you. Nothing really further to add. Just will note for council that the Saugeen Municipal Airport member municipalities met on April 17th, 2024 to discuss the future of the SMA. And council is asked to decide whether it would like to proceed with the sale of the airport or to keep it. Staff are recommending obtaining legal advice to fully understand the legality and steps to be taken to sell the airport should one of the three partners wish to proceed with that sale. As you'll note, at the April 17th meeting, the three-member municipalities committed to providing a response to each of the respective partners within 2 months of that date. So we're very near that. So a decision should be made today to indicate how West Cray would like to move forward with that.
Comments? There's Tom.
Question, thank you, Mayor Eccles. So just so I'm clear, we have not obviously engaged with a legal opinion on this yet. Is that my understanding? Okay. So I think that a clear understanding of the agreement that's existing or that's in place right now, that, you know, as one of the commissioners and a representative from West Cray on that commission, I think I'd like to have that clarity, and that would position us a little where we need to position ourselves on a response. So I think that the legal opinion on the agreement is key to what I think just a decision should be based on. Thank you.
So if we're going to ask for a legal opinion, what the opinion of one municipality can trigger the sale? I guess, what is the questions you're thinking of asking legal? Tom?
Okay, so I think what Brockton came back with, when we sat there, and they've been all along, is the question on the agreement that's in place right now, that if they present it to leave, it's, you know, our understanding is that they still do their 2 years and then they leave, or any of us, you know, any one of the three partners, if they give a 2 years notice, then they're out and walk away. And I think that's the clarity everyone's thinking, because they think if there's some different language around I'm not sure what they pulled out. You may have to help me with that, Mayor Eccles, what Mayor Peabody had said. Corporation Act.
Well, the Corporations Act.
So, you know, the language around that, we don't, you know, we were a little hesitant to make some decisions around that. So I think I just want clarity on the agreement. If the way that I understand it from sitting at the commission is that if one gives notice, it's 2 years, they still pay their 2 years dues, and that's it. But it's the clarity on if that's clearly how that works.
I don't know if staff has clarity on that or not, Jamie?
Through Mayor Eccles, the agreement is relatively clear in that it speaks to voluntary departure from the agreement. So much like you had said, Deputy Mayor Hutchison, if one of the three parties says, yes, we would like to withdraw from the agreement, they would give that 2 year notice. They would continue to pay. And at the end of the 2 years, they would free themselves from any connection to that asset. They would not in turn benefit from any of the proceeds from a future potential sale. I think based on my understanding of the meeting on April 17th, the clarity that needs to be sought here is whether or not there is a mechanism that would trigger a sale of the airport, and how that would work, where one party could get out and potentially benefit from the proceeds of the sale. So we don't have those answers through the Corporations Act, which is why my suggestion in this is to obtain that legal advice just to see whether or not one or two parties can trigger that sale, regardless of whether or not the other parties are supportive of that.
Okay, so again, so I guess based on your response there, through you, Mayor Eccles, sorry, through the clerk. So based on what you just said, that's just supporting what I'm stating is a 2 years, 2 years notice, and that's it. So I don't see if they want to move forward with, giving their notice on it, I really got to look at my colleagues and say, well, we've just increased our portion of that asset, clearly based on them wanting to go. So they still got to do their 2 years. They make the contributions for 2 years. That really puts us in a position for the next 2 years to let us continue to do the work at the commission. We've got some new things that are coming out. We've got the strategic and the vision plans actually coming ahead. And, it's not going to be any more impact on our levy. So that's just going to give us a couple of years to do the work. Again, no impact on us other than what our normal contributions are.
Councillor Hutchison, Doug?
Yeah, but I don't think it's black and white, because I think I got the impression from that meeting that Walker and feels that if they want to sell the airport, that they're going to gain some profits from the sale of that airport. But according to the agreement, it sounds like 2 years they walk away and they receive nothing. I got the impression that Brockton felt that they wanted their share. So I think we need to get that clarified before we go anywhere.
Jamie?
Thank you. And Three Miracles, yes, the agreement speaks to just that. It does not speak to the process of the sale or disposition of the asset. So it is silent on that. I think that's what needs to be explored further. Yes, you can walk away from it and just rid yourself of any connection to it. However, I don't think that's Brockton's intent, is from my understanding. And that's the question that we need to have answered is there a mechanism to sell? And if so, what is that, given that the agreement itself is silent on that?
Tom?
Maybe Miracles, you were sitting at the table here, sir, when Aaron Eldersley left many years ago. And I believe it's under the same language as existing on this agreement. It's just been amended with the removal of Aaron Eldersley. I think it was pretty clear that they were not in a position to force a sale. They actually exited, did the 2 years of remittances as per the agreement, and they sold it, walked away. And I think that's kind of what the commission is hanging their hat on, is that agreement. The only thing that's been amended from our understanding, our search, is that, again, it's been updated to remove Aaron Eldersley and just come to 3 partners. So, but the language around it's very similar at that back when that happened.
Irregardless, what you're saying is if Brockton was to leave, gives 2 years notice, pay out at the end of 2 years, now there's only 2 partners to share that 150,000, 200,000, whatever the contribution is. At the present moment, our contribution is 38,000. Are we up to 50? I to carry. You have it there, what our contribution is, but yeah. I guess what I'm saying is, all of a sudden we're going from, whether it's 38, 48,000. Our contribution is going to be double. Probably in that range. That has to be taken into account as well too. Tom?
Thank you, Miracles. Well, I'm not trying to, I don't want to debate or to rebuttal, but I think that's part of the conversations within the 2 years of the 2 years notice, that we have those discussions with Hanover. Hanover has a little bit more at stake. The water system is there. So, Hanover may have a lot more interest in it, and we may be able to just stay status quo. We don't know. Those are discussions we would have with them. Again, they want to give their notice, and we have a legal opinion that, what I believe as a commissioner, if that's the case, we have 2 years to essentially look at the development that we're in the middle of heavy right now with consultants supplied by or provided by Gray County, as well as some planning. They're carrying all that expense for us. That gives us our 2 years to do it and put ourselves in a strategic position to make a decision. You know, maybe at that time, maybe it's not a fit for us. I don't know, but we should just allow that 2 year span to go on anyways, and further discussions with Hanover.
Okay. Anything else? Councillor Townsend, Doug?
I think by seeking a legal opinion on it, then we'll know one way or the other whether, as you say, whether, you know, Brockton can get out, cash in their chips and go on their merry way, which will probably help influence our decision, because maybe we want to stay and pay into it more and in hopes that the game gets better and the chips go up, or maybe we may want to, if that's an option, maybe we want to get out and cash in our chips also. So it will hinge on the legal opinion we get on whether Brockton has to walk away with nothing or whether Brockton can walk away with some money in their pocket.
Joyce, Councillor Noon.
My concern with getting a legal opinion, what if we all reach out, and get a legal opinion, and those legal opinions all differ? Wouldn't it
No.
make more common sense to reach out to the other partners and ask that we all seek the same legal advice as to actually the understanding of how the agreement is authorized, if there would be a sale, or if someone chooses to leave, and the repercussions if they get any benefit out of it. But I think we need to all be on the same page if we're going to go and get legal opinion.
Good thought, Tom.
Thank you, Miracles. And I couldn't agree more with you, Councillor Noon. The issue I have is that I think some of that language has already been brought forward, but it was Brockton's, basically how Brockton's understanding was, I would feel a lot better having our own West Gray have a look at it so that we know the language that we're getting is the language that we really seek, and it's not kind of coming at us second or third. Not that I don't trust it. I'd rather have it right here a lot closer and have our staff a lot more control of the questions asked and getting the answers.
Good point. Anything else? There was one very interesting point in this. Forget which page it's on. Page 154 of the package. I can put the third paragraph. There are no municipal sanitary sewers available to the hangars or the property, and the water services is provided by the town of Hanover. Is the airport outside the boundaries of the town of Hanover Corporation?
It's
Yeah, I just,
I know where you're going.
yeah, I'm positive that's well outside the boundaries of the, I mean, it's across the county line even. Councillor Hutchison, get me back and focused here, please.
Well, one of the questions that I had, which probably will come out as we move forward, if you talk about a sale, is the people that own hangars, and I don't know if there's any housing on the airport, but just hangars, whether there's any conditions in there that, you know, build a hangar, put all this money in a hangar, and then they decide to sell the airport, and whether it stays as an airport or not, is there a condition in there that says, I put, you know, 100,000 into a hangar and now I have no airport to run it off. So, or fly my plane. So I just wonder if there's any conditions in those agreements going back that might be a factor in terms of a sale. But I would hope if it went forward as a sale, that it stays an airport. I'm not sure whether we have to be involved or whether it's someone else, but I'd really like to see the airport stay there because I think there's a need. So what that looks like in the future, I don't know, but I do think that there needs to be an airport there. Yep.
And I would say by Wyerton Airport, Owen Sound Airport, a couple of other ones that have sold Bottenville, and think of a couple of other ones further south. That there was very similar agreements where, so they had to figure out something when a private individual has purchased the property on what they're doing with those leases, because the lease on some of them is 99 years.
So there are so many different.
Yeah, there's different portion, different.
You have access and all that.
Yeah, yeah. That would have, yeah, it'd be that, but I would say it's probably already, some of that information or ways of getting around that had to be resolved through those other airport sales. Tom?
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Because, and I will tell you, we have completed, we had to do a capital assessment, like asset assessment, and we've completed that. I'll make sure that we had a vision meeting yesterday, so I'll make sure that those numbers, I don't want to quote, I think 3.2 or 3.5, but I want to get those numbers. I'll make sure that they get those minutes get to here, so you have an updated asset of what the actual asset is, because we had to do that. The town of Hanover requested, so we'll have a much better idea. And some other findings of some rather large corporations looking to come to the airport for long-term rental agreements, et cetera, maybe land purchase or rental agreements. So there's some pretty exciting stuff happening. But I'll make sure that all gets to you through the minutes.
Okay. But dealing with this, and yes, we did say by the middle of June, wasn't that in that joint meeting? We get back kind of given a direction of where all three municipalities. Am I? What's next week? In the idea that council here would like to seek a legal opinion, give direction to staff to seek a legal opinion on the options of Brockton leaving the airport and whether they have legal ramifications, right to their percentage of the assets as they leave. Is that? Have you got that worded in a motion, Jamie? I know you can read his mind. I'm not sure. Yeah, whether you're going to read mine or not.
Thank you, Mayor Eccles, and through you, I'll leave it at that. I don't have anything specific. What I do have is the recommendation that's in the report. I'm getting the sense based on council's conversation that you don't want to commit to either option one or option two at this time without first having obtained that legal advice to make that informed decision. So I think what might be most appropriate is just for council to direct staff to obtain legal advice on the process of selling the airport and whether or not one party can benefit from the asset should they choose to voluntarily withdraw from the agreement.
Thank you, Mayor Eccles. So just the comment is this is going to actually give us a snapshot review of what the existing agreement is and what our understanding is here. It's going to support it with legal advice, whether it's Corporation Act, somebody wants to pull out, or the existing agreement overrides that. It's going to give us a clear description of here's the agreement. If you want to give your notice, is essentially what we're after. And that's really what we need to have here before I feel we can make any kind of sound judgments moving forward. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Another budget question. Where's the money going to come from for this legal advice?
Director of Finance, take off that CEO's hat.
Yeah. We have a small amount of legal in our corporate budget, but it will likely exceed what we were anticipating.
Funds to be found from savings in other departments. How's that? Fine with that? Ms. Maiton? Okay. No matter which direction we seemingly want to go, we're gonna incur some legal costs in this decision. Okay? So the motion was moved and seconded to seek out legal confirmation on the agreement with one party exiting and through the agreement and or the Corporations Act, whether they're entitled to recouping their equity from the asset. Tom?
I apologize, Mayor Eccles, but I'm just sitting in the back of my mind as, have we had a conversation with Hanover in case they've already done this part? Like that? Because we know what their position is clearly.
Jamie?
Through you, Mayor Eccles. Quite some time ago, both Laura Johnson and I did have a meeting with Sherry Walden at Hanover to discuss potential legal advice, how that would work, whether or not we had any direction from our councils to move forward. My understanding is that Hanover has not yet gone forward with obtaining that legal advice. I think there was not hesitancy, I won't say that's the right word, but just wanted to take a wait and see approach to see where both of our councils were, where Brockton was. So I could be mistaken. I haven't spoken with Ms. Walden in Hanover for quite some time on this, but my understanding was that Hanover was waiting as well to obtain that legal advice. So to the best of my knowledge, that has not yet been done.
Go ahead, Tom.
Follow up, and I appreciate it. And I understand, and I want to make sure that I'm not going outside. We do have a motion on the table, but if Hanover has done that, this could look different. I know clearly what Hanover's position is because I think it's been stated because they do have quite a bit at stake. I'm not going to speak on behalf of Hanover, but I'm pretty certain where they want to go with it. I think we all know the same. But if they've done that work, if not, is it something we could consider partner? Because I know their position's pretty clear. So I don't know if there's savings there. Again, that's just following up with what Councilor Nude said, and that's why again, we have a motion on the floor. I know that, but I'm curious what that would look like.
Jamie?
Through Mayor Eccles, certainly we can have that conversation with Hanover. I still think that it's probably prudent for us to seek our own independent legal advice, whether Hanover has or not so far, just to ensure that we've done our due diligence and that we're getting sound legal advice as well.
Okay, anything else? Call the question. All those in favor? It's carried. Okay. That's it, Jamie. Questions? Down to number 12. Any questions? Tom?
Thank you. Chatty today. Question, I don't know if Aiken's still online or he's available. If not, it could be answered later on, but I noticed thank you for putting up the radar sign and the speed sign, notification sign going into Ayton. It's not working. Just for the record, it's there's no signal, there's nothing on there. So I've seen it a few times. A few people have asked me, so I just thought I'd bring that out. I don't know about the other ones. That's the only one I've really noticed. So whether it's
Thank you. Yeah, we're aware of that, and the batteries are being charged. We hope to have it in service this week.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Jeff. Councillor Hutchison. Doug?
Yeah, maybe for our director again, while they're checking that one, maybe check the one on Durham Road East, because I don't think it works either. But I had another question for our director, if you're still there, Jeff.
Yes, I'm here.
We have a couple of public information sessions coming up regarding bridges. I think the Traverson Bridge is one, and there was another one. I'm just curious, like, I thought we've sort of made decisions on where we're going with some of these, but now we're asking public input. Can you clarify that for me somehow?
Yes, through your worship, both projects require an environmental assessment. And in both cases, the schedule we're following in the EA process does require public consultation. So we've identified all the potential solutions and why we've picked the preferred solution is the intent of the meeting.
Requirement.
Right, but we've already removed the Traverston Bridge, right? Correct?
Yes, there was one exception. Typically you are supposed to finish the EA first before you do that. But in the case of Traverston, it had deteriorated to a point that collapse under its own weight was a legitimate health and safety concern. So under order from the engineer, we were allowed to demolish it. The problem statement in the EA is what happens next, essentially. Does it remain with no bridge? Does a pedestrian bridge go in? Does it go back to a one-lane bridge, etc.? That's the point of the EA with that.
Okay, I found that interesting because I thought when we moved it, that would be it, but it sounds like through public input, we could possibly be looking at putting another bridge or a walkway bridge or something in there. Again, budget implications, for sure. So that was interesting. What was the other bridge? I forget now. There was two. One on
It's
the
number
north line.
44 on the north line, which we intend to tender this fall with a budget request for construction for 2025.
Right. And so what were we looking for there in terms, we weren't looking at closing that one, right? We're talking about repairing,
No, we're looking at replacement.
replacement,
Yeah,
right?
it's not repairable.
No, okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so these meetings, it's under the Environmental Assessment Act, and it is a requirement, no matter what we kind of decided we would like to do, but the environmental, you shall have an open public meeting on it. So guess that gets away from me making the announcement a little later in announcements that, yeah, that'll be on, anybody out there, that's on Thursday from 7 till 9. Scott.
Can we get an update on the Newstead Water Tower refurbishment?
Yes, the project is on schedule for repainting both the inside and the outside.
And the timing on that, it's going to be repainted by the weekend, or college painters coming in and doing it over the weekend, yeah?
You are extremely optimistic, Your Worship. I think we're probably 2 months out, at least, for a professional job that will last another 20 years before we have to talk about it again.
Okay, that good, Scott? But yeah, because I think Scott, and I know I've been getting a couple, so how, yeah, it's just a timeline on the project. So about another 2 months, be looking at that. Councillor Hutchison, Doug?
If I can ask a question to follow regarding that. So what did they find when they tested the paint? Because there was quite a discrepancy in the cost depending on whether it was lead in the paint. So did we find that there was no lead in the paint? Because that was a cost factor.
There is no lid in the paint.
Yeah, that was a
300,000 difference or something. Yeah, right. Good. Okay. Thank you.
Excellent. Any other questions? Joyce? Sorry, Councillor Noon.
At that special called meeting, that, we hosted regarding the hospital, and we asked for legal opinion, have we received that information to date?
That might come under number 16. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Bylaws. We're down, oh wait, we're gonna go through these and then we'll go. Yeah, yeah, it suffered. Jamie, We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bylaws here.
Yes, three articles, as noted by the interim CEO. Bylaw number 2024-052 has to be passed as amended to correct the numbering in that schedule. So we'll just pass that one separately. So first and foremost, we have the other bylaws. So the bylaw numbers 2024-047, 048, 049, 050, and 051 be passed and enacted is the first recommendation.
Okay. Can I have a mover and a seconder for those 5 bylaws? Forrester and Deputy Mayor Hutchison. Any questions or comments on those? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. The last one, bylaw number 2024-052, as amended.
Yes, three miracles. It's that bylaw number 2024-052 as amended, be passed and enacted.
Okay. Councillor Noon, move. Thank you. Councillor Townsend, second that. Any questions? All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Okay. That's it for bylaws. New business. Nothing. You want to take a slight break? Come back, we'll do announcements and then go into closed session. Okay, all right. We'll take a 10-minute refreshment break. Relief break. Clock right on. Thank you for keeping us on time, Ashley. Doing an excellent job as usual. Okay, new business. Aware of any announcements? Any announcements on things going on this week and or coming up? Deputy Mayor Hutchison. Tom?
Thank you. The Elmwood Fire Breakfast was this past weekend. I believe they served 570 people.
I
Which
heard
is,
610, but Elf might have lost count at some point in time.
well, I got that from Tim, so we'll divide it. We'll call it just estimate at 600.
Yes.
How's that?
Yep.
This Saturday's Airport Days, the First Responders Day from 9 to 3 out at the Saugeen Municipal Airport. So there'll be, it's the first Responders Day out there anyway, so there's lots of different activities for the full day. And also I wanted to say that on Saturday, the 22nd is the Saugeen Municipal Airport Kids Day. So kids can go out and they can get in planes and they can do all that wonderful things and go for rides or talk to pilots and do that wonderful stuff. So, and that's, I guess, essentially what I've got to, well, other than Thursday night, we have another meeting, but I think Kevin's got probably more to say about that. Thank you. Yep. Community hospital thing Thursday.
Yeah, they can't be there.
What?
Things going on. Anybody else got any announcements? Yeah. Well, the deputy mayor and the mayor argue here about what we're doing. Doug.
Yeah, I'd just like to mention that we had a new business, had a official kickoff yesterday, I believe, the Foundry restaurant downtown Durham, and I think it was very successful. Unfortunately, I didn't make it down myself, but I plan to get there as soon as I can. So it's exciting to have a new restaurant and bar, I guess, in the town of Durham, and hopefully that'll drive more business in the future. So congratulations to all the investors involved.
Thank you. Councillor Forster.
Right. June 7th and 8th, the Friends of the Library having a book sale at the town hall in Durham. And the 8th of June, the Durham Horticulture Society's Herb Fair, Riverside Park, 9 to 3.
Councillor Townsend. Doug.
Thank you. Just recognizing that this week is Abbeyfield Week across Canada, and Abbeyfield's hosting its yearly barbecue for everybody. It's from 11:30 till 2:30 on this coming Saturday. And also, as a note from Abbeyfield too, the president of Abbeyfield here in Durham, Paul Glendenning, actually received a national award the other week, presented by Abbeyfield Canada. Our mayor was at that. Robert McMillan Award for volunteering at Abbeyfields for over 10 years and his contribution to Abbeyfield. So a national recognition for a local resident of West Grey.
Very good. Anyone else? No, Trace. We mentioned about the open houses that are here on Thursday night, 7 till 9. Those open houses here for the EA on the two bridges in Glenelg are here. Also coming up, the Newstead Brewery is having a couple of functions Sunday afternoons. I believe it is in the afternoon. On the 9th, Chad Conway be in house entertaining, and then on the 16th, Eric Bolton and 40 Hills Forge are both in house those days. And I don't have, they're doing summer nights. Newstead Brewery was doing summer nights in the park. Last year they did it right at the brewery, and they found that they just didn't have enough room. I think the parking and people that went over very well, so they're going to do another summer nights. And I can't off the tip of my tongue say exactly when that is, but I know it's for down in the park in Newstead as well. June 9th was Chad Conway, and June 16th was Eric Bolton. and Forge, 40 Hills Forge. Yeah, doing metal. I think they do metal work and whatnot, exhibition of what they do. Anyways. Anything else? Okay. We do have a closed session. We need to go into. Want to discuss the minutes of closed session. And one matter regarding litigation or potential litigation including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality and advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose respecting the Durham Hospital. We have a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Forrester, seconded by Councillor Townsend. All in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. So we'll put Okay, we are back to open session. I'm going to report out of the closed session. So we reviewed the minutes of the closed session regular council meeting held on May 29th, 2024, and discussed one matter regarding litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality, and advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, respecting the Durham Hospital, and no direction was provided. Okay, that's very good. That's the report. No other business. Call the meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Thank you, staff.